Hello, what is up you guys? So welcome to my channel. My name is Fiona and I'm so glad you're here. So today's video is actually going to be the first video in an extensive series of how to study abroad in Korea. Basically all of the things that you really need to know. But today's video will specifically be about the requirements for studying abroad in Korea and also what I studied while I was in Korea. So if this is something that you're interested in, then please keep on watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And hit the notification bell to get notifications on when the next video will be coming out. Follow me on Instagram for more travel inspiration. So without further ado, let's get started. So just a little bit of the background information about me. My name is Fiona. I studied abroad at Korea University in the fall of 2018. So it's actually been 2 years since I studied abroad in Korea, and I honestly think about it every single day. It was one of the most independent and eye-opening periods of my life. And even though I heavily researched like what to expect, things to know and stuff like that, I never really found the resources that I needed that were actually helpful. So I created this channel so I can tell you guys all the things that I wish I knew before going to Korea and just my honest experience and opinions. So first we're going to go into the application requirements for studying abroad at Korea University. So these requirements are specifically for Korea University. It can range a little bit differently depending on which university that you're going to. But a lot of these things are going to be the same, such as the visas, the alien registration cards, stuff like that, recommendation letters. So yeah. Okay, so let's dive into the application requirements. So basically how I studied abroad in Korea was I applied through my home university, which is in New York. I went to Binghamton University and we had an exchange program there with Korea University. So what I did was I applied through my university and there were requirements for that. The requirements for my home university was to have at least a 3.0 GPA and you had to be either a sophomore, junior, or a senior. So you cannot be a freshman and study abroad. After going through my home university, I had to apply through Korea University. And the application requirements for Korea University are as follows. So first, to apply to Korea University, you actually only need a 2.5 GPA on your transcript. You need 2 recommendation letters, a statement of purpose, so why you want to study abroad in Korea University. It's an $80 application fee. You'll need your official transcript, and then there are things that you need after you get accepted into Korea University in order to be studying in Korea. So those things are a D2 student visa. You'll need proof of residency, so where you're gonna stay. You'll need an alien registration card. You'll also need a bank statement of at least $20,000. You'll need copies of your passport, and you'll also need the acceptance letter from Korea University to apply for these visas. So don't worry, I know that sounds super stressful, all the things that I just said, but I'm going to break down every single thing for you right now so it's easier. First, you're going to need to fill out their online application. So how to do this is you can go to Korea University's official website, download their application form, or whatever university that you're going to. So next, what you need for Korea University is actually 2 recommendation letters. So how I got these recommendation letters, one, I asked one of my old professors in a class that I got an A in. And then number 2 is I asked an old boss of mine. I think that once you get to the college level, it's pretty common to be asking for letters of recommendation. So don't be stressed if like those aren't really things that you're used to asking. If you're in college and you feel like you don't really have anyone to ask, I think I would take this opportunity to kind of get closer to one of your professors so that you can ask them for their letter of recommendation in the future. So next, what you're going to need is your official transcript. You can get this from your university. And then next, you're going to need a statement of purpose. So a statement of purpose is basically just an essay about why you want to study abroad in Korea. If you check out my TikTok, I actually posted what I wrote in exact words in my essay. But if you guys want me to make a video about that, I totally can. Just let me know down in the comments and I will do my absolute best trying to answer all those questions for you. But basically what I wrote in my statement of purpose was that I really wanted to push myself and immerse myself in new cultures. It was just basically a 3 to 5 paragraph essay on why you want to study abroad in Korea. So the next thing that you're gonna need is a bank statement of at least $20,000. I know that that sounds like so much, but it actually doesn't have to be your bank statement. It could be like your parents' bank statement, your guardian's bank statement. And basically they just need to know that once you go to Korea, you're going to have enough money to sustain yourself for food, for living, stuff like that. They just want to know that you're not gonna be like homeless on the street. You're gonna have enough money to be able to actually live in that country. Next, you're gonna need multiple copies of your passport. This is just for the visa. Big tip is just to scan a copy of your passport just so you have it on your phone all the time, just in case you ever need to pull it up and you don't have your passport. But you'll basically need multiple copies, printed copies of your passport to apply for your visa. And you want to make sure that your passport is not going to expire within 6 months of the day that you leave Korea. So let's say you study abroad in the fall ends in December, make sure that your passport is going to be good until June of the next year, just 6 months from December. Okay, so next what you're going to need is proof of residency. So that what that means is basically the Korean government just wants to know that you'll have a place to stay once you come to Korea. Proof of residency can be like Airbnb receipts or student housing receipts, things like that, just so that they know that you're going to have somewhere to stay from when you're going to be in Korea up until when you leave. Okay, so the next thing is the visas. So to study abroad in Korea, you're going to need 2 different types of visas. So one is the D2 student visa, and the next is an alien registration card. So basically a D2 student visa is for international students who want to study abroad in Korea. And basically how you apply for this visa is you have to go to your local Korean embassy. So I'm from New York, so I went to the New York Consulate Embassy of Korea with all of the requirements that I needed, proof of residency, stuff like that. And what you're going to need is you're going to need your acceptance letter from Korea to apply for these visas. So yes, you need to have been accepted to Korea to apply for these visas because you need to print out the acceptance letter. You apply for the visa and you get the visa. The visa is going to be in your passport, and then afterward you have to go and get what is called an alien registration card. So your alien registration card is kind of like your driver's license. It's for internationals while they're in Korea. When you're in Korea, you don't want to be carrying around like your passport all the time, you know, in case you go out, you go drinking, things like that. You want to be really careful with it and you don't want to lose it. So instead, what you can carry around is the alien registration card. So actually the alien registration card, you actually get that when you get to Korea. So when you get to Korea, you have to go to the immigration office in Korea to apply for the alien registration card. I know that this sounds super complicated, but don't worry. Once you get there, a lot of foreign students are in the same boat as you, so you guys can actually go to the immigration office together. And there's also a lot of Korean students that are going to help you. And one huge tip is when you leave Korea at the end of your stay, you actually need to return the alien registration card. So I got to the airport, I was really late for my flight and I didn't know that. I also had like 4 suitcases from my time in Korea. So I didn't even know where my alien registration card was going to be in my luggage. I didn't even know if I like checked it in or something. So I had to re-get another alien registration card at the airport and it was $40 and then I had to give it in. So that took time and $40. So please make sure that when you're leaving Korea, you have your alien registration card on you because you're going to need to give that back. Huge tip, bonus tip. Okay, so I think I covered all of the application requirements and requirements to study abroad in Korea. I know that that sounds like it's so much, but honestly, it's super worth it. Like when I was in Korea, I didn't even think about all the things that I had to do when I got there. It was just really fun. Promise you, all this paperwork is going to be worth it at the end. So I studied abroad in the fall. From January to March is when I handled a lot of like the statement of purpose, the essays, the recommendation letters, stuff like that. I was accepted into Korea University around May. I went to the consulate in June and then I got the visa and I was ready to go to Korea by, I would say, mid-August. So it kind of takes a little bit of preparation and a little bit of work, but I promise you it's super worth it and it's gonna be okay. So woo, let's take a breather. That was actually a lot. So right now let's move on to what I studied at Korea University. So actually 40% of the classes in Korea University are taught in English. So before deciding to study abroad in Korea, I would actually go on their official website and just check which classes are taught in English. So that way you know if you could take your major classes there, or your gen eds. If you don't know what gen eds are, they're basically general education classes that you have to take. I know that Korea University definitely has a lot of business classes. So if you're interested in studying abroad in specifically Korea University, one thing to note that they don't have these subjects. They don't have medicine, nursing, pharmacy, law, teacher education, art and design, and cybersecurity. So if you're trying to study those things, I would study those things in your home university and then go to Korea University for your gen ed. Definitely check out their official website and their official class courses just to double check. And yeah, let's dive into what I studied while I was at Korea University. So I'm an economics major. So when I was in Korea University, I actually got to study part of my major, which is economics. One thing that I wish I knew before the class studying abroad in Korea is that the classes are actually only 3 credits each. I'm not sure if that's what it's like in your home university, but in my home university, our classes are 4 credits each. So usually in my case, in my home university, I would take 4 classes. But in Korea University, you can actually take like 3 to 5 classes just because the credits are only 3 credits. I actually could take so many gen eds and major credits abroad. I studied abroad my last year of college, so I didn't really have any gen eds left to fulfill. But one thing that I wish I really knew was that you could actually keep studying abroad if you wanted to. You could actually like go to a different country every semester if you really wanted to, but that wasn't something that I really knew, so I'm telling you guys. Okay, so the classes that I took in the fall of 2018 in Korea for my major were labor economics. I took risk management and insurance. I took English public speaking, and then I also took Korean 101. Besides Korean 101, all of the classes were taught in English. I decided to only take 12 credits because I wanted to spend a lot of time just having fun, exploring, and like not be too worried about actually studying there. And I had a lot of credits already in my home university, so I didn't really need to like bombard myself with taking a lot of classes. So I would definitely recommend that. Take a lot of classes back at your home university so that you can kind of chill when you get to Korea. And actually, I didn't think that the classes in Korea University were hard. Compared to my home university, I actually didn't think that the classes were hard at all. A lot of classes were like taught in English, but like my risk management and insurance class was taught in English. But honestly, it was very obvious that my professor couldn't really speak English. So that was actually like a very easy A class for me. And I think the professors are just a little bit more chill because they know that you're like an international student. They know that you're kind of here like for fun a little bit. And yeah, surprisingly, the classes in Korea University were not very hard. In my home university, we actually have cumulative finals. So I was shocked when I got to Korea University and we didn't have cumulative finals. I kind of thought that that was like a everyone kind of thing. So basically, I think that was way easier and the teachers are a lot more lenient. The hardest class I actually took was Korean 101, and I actually do not recommend that class. It was helpful and it did help me like learn Korean because I didn't know Korean going there, but the class was just really difficult. It was 4 days a week and an hour and a half each class, and the worst part of the class was that the teacher didn't speak English, she just spoke Korean, and literally no one would know what she was saying. Like she spoke no English, not a word of English. But yeah, it was really excruciatingly hard to learn. It was one of the worst classes that I took. I would recommend it if like you really don't know any Korean and you're trying to learn, because it did help me. I learned like how to count, like how to order, things like that. But if you're kind of just trying to have a chill time and you kind of already know a little bit of Korean, I would not take that class. I would skip it entirely. So yeah, that is the end of my first video. Thank you so much for watching if you watched up until this point. I'm going to make other videos on like the finances of studying abroad in Korea, tips that I wish that I knew, things like that, what to bring, what to pack, stuff like that. But please let me know down in the comments if there's any topics that you would really like me to go into detail about, because I would be happy to go into detail. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and follow me on my Instagram and my TikTok, where I talk a little bit more about studying abroad in Korea. And yeah, thank you guys.